So I was thinking about time and memories and space. As is the usual concept for, I think, everyone when they have what seems to be space and time and a little bit of mental energy. And it was placing myself somewhere in my mind during college. I played soccer. And it's a very curious memory because you have these. You never have a complete memory of anything. You can't tell me what you did all day yesterday. Like nobody knows these things. You can't remember every key you hit on the keyboard and every word that you spoke and every little detail. But I was thinking about some larger memories and going, man, I feel like I should have remembered this trip went to Arizona, and I don't recall, I don't recall being on the plane. I don't recall going there, and I don't recall coming back at all, in any way. I have no. I don't remember going to the airport. I don't remember getting on the plane. I don't remember getting off the plane. I don't remember where we stayed. I know it was a tournament for a few days. I remember how hot it was. I remember the field. I remember the park. I remember just the hundred and some degrees dry heat and like not sweating because I mean you're sweating but you just would be dry so quickly that it didn't appear, it didn't feel like you were sweating and seeing, but it was just miserably hot. And I remember the playing, and I remember that but I don't. I could even visualize a little bit of the field and like where it was, and but beyond that, absolutely not one iota of information, anything. Where did we eat? Did we eat? I mean, of course we did, right? I can't recall getting on the plane. Who I sat next to? Can't recall uh, any of it. I mean, I could pick out some of the classes that I was in and go, oh, don't remember those days really. Remember, it's like, man, why is I can remember more from my second grade class than I could from what seems so much closer and so much more. You seem, as you get older, you should have what is more awareness and consciousness. And I was thinking about that, I'm thinking about, today's what, Thursday? It's what month? September. 2017 on the calendar that we're given. And I was just thinking, like, where did these what's been going on for these weeks? What's happening? What's going on this planet? What's going on in people's consciousness individually? I seen this Jim Carrey thing, and I was like, oh, the Matrix got broken. As if there was one to begin with, or is there still one, or what is this? This intricate web that has been woven prior to us being here and after we leave, or did we all create it? Is it all part of our own unique creation and experience? And I'm like, man, 2017, whatever, you say, oh, a year is so long. I mean, how long is a year? How long, it's this concept of time as a construct, just as well as distance as a construct. The only way we can kind of give a realization to what time and distance is because we have a we know how far our feet will take us. We know how fast our feet will move, and we know there seems to be some sort of top speed that we can put one leg in front of the other and move somewhere. So we get a concept that way of how far something is, the distance. And then we could say, well, that distance, I know I can go that far from when the sun is up till the sun is, until it's evening time. and we make a reference point there. We start with that. That we can move what we would call, oh, I don't know, 10 miles or 20 miles in a day, putting one foot. And so we have this, yeah. Oh, there's an equation there that occurs. This is the maximum speed that we see as a human. This is how far we can travel. It's this far. It's from that tree to that tree, and we can do that in what seems to be the sun passing from what is directly over our head to kind of over there, and we can kind of make inferences in that way. But then, you know, at times in your life, speed changes. How far can you move as a child? What about when you're old and decayed? Oh wait, but now we have bicycles. Does this change what time and space is? Does it change? And this is intricately, intimately woven in with what we consider memory, because in what we see as our memories, there's time and space for places, and it tends to be what we think of as the past. So we have these memories of the past that we're in a time and place, and then oh man, we got this vehicle now that's going even faster than a bicycle. It can go farther in a day, and then all of a sudden we got airplanes. We're getting an airplane. We're like, whoa! Does that make things bigger, or does it make things smaller? See, you thought your distance was over to that tree. Now you can go to the other side of your country in what seems to be a less amount of time. So you travel a greater distance in a shorter amount of time. And is that making the world smaller to everyone, or is it making it larger because now you know that something exists way over there, or is it collapsing something? See, it's a strange thing when you're trying to flip time and space, and which one is which? Is it getting bigger? Is it getting smaller? And if it's getting bigger, is time getting smaller, or is time getting bigger? It seemed like time, if it takes less time to do something, then we would have more of it. How do we have more time? What is time made of? Is there a fabric? Is there a time-space fabric that scientists like to explain and point out and say there's this time-space continuum that nobody can really figure out. Nobody really knows. You can't point to it. You can't grab onto it. Can you grab time? Can you grab space? Can you grab a distance? These things you can't contain or hold, or you can only conceptualize. And so we have these placeholders and markers in our mind. So what was then there, and then you go back to, like, hey, you go back to that place, and some time has passed, and all of a sudden, hey, there used to be a grocery store here, and now it's not there. There's something else is there, or nothing at all. So what changed? Did the times change? Well, it looks like the time changed. Yeah, but the space changed as well. Which one changed? But then you go back to somewhere else, you're like, oh, this is the same. You feel like time has passed, but you go to a place and it's like that area is stuck in the same time. This house was here just like it was. These people are here just like they look a little older, but they're exactly the same way as they were. The same rhythm, the same patterns, the same tippy-tappies, the music. Everybody's still listening to the same radio stations. Everybody's got the oldie stations on. They want to relive their 1960s and 70s, and it's the year 2017. You go to these towns and these spaces. Has any time really passed for these people? You get to the idea of Groundhog's Day. Did time pass? I mean, they're in the same space. So are they in the same time then? Then you say time zones, and so they're in a space, a place, and a time that is, in essence, a repetitious memory. It's a memory that is just wound into that, and so that that grocery store that's been there, the same kind of people. I mean, I remember I went back to where I grew up, and I walked into a bowling alley that I, as a toddler, is like 5 years old. I mean, I have very pretty clear memories of this place, and I walk in there, and this is some 30 some years later, and the same people are there, the same people that were there when I was a child are still working there, and they didn't look any different. They were old when I was 5. They were very old. I would have assumed in their 50s, 60s maybe. And then I go back there in my late 30s, which would have put them in their almost 90 years old, literally. But they didn't look that. They looked exactly the same way they looked to me when I was 5 years old. How does that everything was the same. There was a few upgrades, they got the computers on the bowling alley, but everything else, like the whole thing, the smell of the place, the whole thing. I look around at every, like, you look at these movies, like, is the consciousness of a place just hold space and time as like there it is a some sort of statue or stagnant pond of consciousness that it literally doesn't move. I I don't know. These are often the queries I have into. I don't know. I ask other people about these kind of things, but there's usually an empty echo. There's usually a silence, and so I asked myself, and there seems to be answers, but never, they're never. It's like the never-ending story. Is that? I mean, because if you can't place space and time, and if you can't hold a memory or under these things, they're just so constantly. I don't. The word isn't necessarily evolving, although things seem to evolve. Some things seem to devolve. Some things to seem to. I guess the morph is a better word, like just a morphing, an altering. And in what way? I mean, are we changing the times, or are we changing the concept of time? Because if you look at the system of what are the Mayans, and what were their calendars, and what was their time based on, and then I got into in some of my recent talks with people, I got into the idea of frame rates, of what your eyes can see. And if you have a frame rate for what your eyes can see, meaning if my eyes are literally taking a picture every 60 times a second, and then as I get older and become more conscious, I could take 1,000 pictures a second. I'd be seeing in between spaces. I'd be seeing things that I couldn't see before. And then some people, they get older and their frame rate goes in the other direction. They can see 20 frames a second. Now they're only seeing bits and pieces of the whole entire spectrum. We go, oh, why can't they see what I see? Most people are sitting here seeing on 60 frames a second. And then you have old people that have lost the capacity to see 60 frames a second. They see 20 frames a second. You call that Alzheimer's. Literally, they're like, oh, they don't know what's going on. So loop it around back there, right there. They're only seeing little bits and pieces. But as people now use that same concept in awareness of other things, of audio, how much more are you hearing of music? What more are you seeing in pictures? What more is your brain consciously, not necessarily attentive or focused on or attuned to, but your entire experience? And how do we that's the concept of what when people talk about, like, oh, God is everything, and there's this whole overmind, this soul that is everything. It's like, oh, it's everywhere. It exists. There it is. How do you feel? How's it going? And then we hyper focus on things, and we start to create by making tiny little things. And what are those tiny things that people usually create? They create gears for watches. Watch this. Watch. Watch it. Watch here. Watch here. See, look. And what do you put on your wrist? A watch. How far is this time going? Where is the time going? Oh, it's showing me what time it is. But yet nobody knows what time it is. What time is it where you are? Is it the same time as where I am? I mean, I could look at the clock and tell you what the digital device and readout says, and say, oh yeah, it's whatever 11:30 on a Thursday or whatever day it is. It doesn't. So you listen to this. What time is it where you are? Oh, it's a different time. Even right now, even if you were listening to me as I'm speaking these words, and you were, say, uh, in Germany, it would be a different time for you, according to whoever was making the clocks. But yet, you'd be on the same exact frequency and wave band, the wave band, the frequency is me, or whatever I'm speaking. So whenever you hear this, it's right now for you. It could be for me. I would say, oh no, this, you listen to this in a week, and you say something. Oh, Zen, I just heard this. Well, oh, I said that a week ago. Well, how could did you hear me a week ago? But what was a week ago? I mean, so it becomes this modulation of going through. Okay, what is space? What is time? And what is memory? And when you put all of those things together, you have a very interesting. Well, okay, here's my moment here as a human, and this is what I'm doing right now. And how's it going? How's it feeling? How does 1 second here you go. How does 1 second feel? How does a minute feel? Whether I'm asking you if a minute itself can feel something, or if I'm asking you how does 1 minute for you feel, it's either way. It's unanswerable, really. It's like a koan of what is the sound of one hand. These kind of questions, they're not just gobbledygook. Um, they're not just those questions that, you know, what it, who wins the unstoppable force or the immovable object, like that. That's just, that's playing cute with language. But when you ask a question like what does time feel like, that's just something that you really have to consider and say that that's a legitimate question, but it's unanswerable. And but in not being able to answer that, you can answer it saying, well, the reason you can't answer it is because time doesn't exist. If time doesn't exist, it can't feel anything. And if you think you exist inside of time, well, then you've already lost the thing. So if time doesn't exist, how do you exist? You exist as a culmination of what? Of your experiences? Well, kind of. But what about all your dreams and hopes of the future? Well, don't those exist too, rightfully so, in the same place that memories do? Wolverine, memories of the future past. The same the ideas that you have of the history of your life and every other life and everything that's gone on in the past is the same exact thing as your vision and ideas of the future. They both equally don't exist. Where are they? Where are all of the things that have happened in the past? And where are all the things that will happen in the future? What time do they exist at? Show me what space they exist at. Point to it. Grab a hold of it. And then you're back right here to the... Oh, whoa, hold on. Let me hear... I got a cup in my hand. Oh, here. There it is. That cup exists. I'm certain of it right now. There we go. Hold on before we float off into outer space. Oh wait, good thing there's no outer space. There's a glass ceiling there. Don't worry about that. Oh wait, what's outside the glass ceiling? Oops. There's an inside, there's got to be an outside. There's an upside, there's a downside. There's a left and there's a right. Oh, but what's there in the middle? I don't know. But that's the idea of time and space, of past and future, that exists as absolutely the same thing. If the past exists as a memory inside of water, inside of your mind, then the future, which are visions that you have of what can be so, exists in the exact same way inside of water as a vision, as the same vision as the past, the same as the future. Isn't that an interesting concept? We'll have a beautiful time, have a beautiful space, have a beautiful experience. Yeah. Turn the lights on, or leave them off, or whatever time it is for you, whatever space you're in. Inspire yourself if you can. Inspire the things around you if you can, because it seems like those would be you too. Who knows, though? We'll talk soon, y'all. Beep boop beep.